Did you know that since 1950, 2/3 of the large fish and 1 in 3 fish populations are already collapsed? Today, due to the vastness of the ocean and a lack of sufficient insights, it is extremely difficult for the respective authorities to monitor fishing activities and to identify illegal vessels potentially jeopardizing fish stocks and environment. Our company, AF7, allows government to monitor in real time the fishing and marine ecosystem in the water based on analyzed Earth observation data. Our user-friendly online platform provides easy and concrete solutions for government to fight against the destruction of our oceans. Our goal is to launch our initiative in March 2021 in the attractive region of Brittany in France. Today, we are going to present you in details our company AF7. Before diving into more details, I would like to introduce our team who has been working on this project for several months now. So we have Francesca, Leona, Max, Joao, and Lucille. Our agenda will be composed of the 5 phases of the value creation wheel model. Let's start with phase 1. Phase 1 of the model is the understanding of the challenges we are facing and how our company is going to solve them. First, I would like to give you some insights about the fish industry to get a clear overview of the market. So the total fish production in 2019 was close to 180 million tons, and more than 80% of it was used for human consumption. The rest was used to feed the fish themselves or non-food purposes. The fishing industry and the aquaculture market are sharing almost equally the production of fish in the world. So our company, AF7, offers a service of monitorization of fishing activities and its impact by analyzing Earth observation data. Our goal is to improve transparency and accountability in fishing activities, protecting biodiversity, and implementing an environmental difference in the fishing industry. For our company, the main goal is to find an attractive geographical market to launch our startup. We identified our main challenge to be the reduction of the fish stocks and the destruction of the maritime environment by the illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing all around the world. To answer this problem, government don't have the appropriate tools. Indeed, monitoring fishing activities, identifying illegal vessels and eventually fight against them is nearly impossible without live stream data. Our company, at this point of the model, wants to answer this challenge by empowering sustainable organizations and commercial companies to prevent IUU and give back to allow the ocean biodiversity to grow. Also, AF7 has set itself the goal of making a strong case for the SDG, life below water. Hence, the marine ecosystem has to be protected by introducing the following measurements: illegal fishing detection, fish stock index, and implementing of red areas. By introducing these 3 activities, we are automatically contributing to 2 other SDGs, which are zero hunger, tracking responsible consumption, production, sustainable and efficient use of natural resources, as well as supporting local fishers. Which market do we target with our service? Our startup will focus on environmental organizations and authorities that have the protection and security of the respective sea regions as their main focus. With the help of our service, they can identify vessels in their territory, check the licenses, and as a result, deny the entrance to the harbors and infrastructure. Furthermore, they are in full control of non-fishing zones. Our product specification. So, we integrated several data sources such as AIS, VMS, and oceanographic data. These competences will allow us to obtain real-time image of the maritime activities as well as the identification of suspicious vessels and their actions. Furthermore, artificial intelligence helps to develop forecasts that facilitate field operation. AF7 main service is processing data from EO sources such as mapping of fishing zones or forecasting algal blooms, and therefore belongs to the downstream market in Earth observation value chain. To develop our project, we analyzed 3 levels of competitors. The first level are competitors who are practicing maritime Earth observation. The second level narrows the funnel to companies that offer this service in the fishing industry. And lastly, our 5 main direct competitors. As a result of our competitor funnel, we came up with the following analysis of the 5 forces. The overall industry rivalry is medium to high and mostly coming from the suppliers, followed by the competitors, as our solution is depending on our partners. The TOES analysis we ran highlighted the ability of our structure to treat the data and quickly expand a sustainable service in a digital world. However, we will face massive costs to launch the platform, and we will need to develop advanced analytical skills as well as accepting our high dependence to our suppliers. Our initial KPI at the end of phase 1 are mainly towards the challenge of finding the right market and then customers, as well as establish the budget needed and find investors, and finally calculate their ROI.
In phase 2, we were creating value for our project. This phase is divided into 2 sub-phases. In phase 2A, we were generating ideas and solutions for our project. Given that one of the most relevant goals is to find the best geographical market in which AF7 can enter and thrive, the group decided to take into consideration all the countries in the world officially acknowledged by the United Nations as a potential option, which equals 195 countries overall. In phase 2B, our group came up with potential criteria and filters. At this stage, and to help finding the best geographical market, the group went through a few brainstorming sessions to find potential filters. All the key decision makers were included, and a variety of sources were used to find these filters. Also, it was not yet relevant for the filters to be measurable, given that their measurability would be evaluated in the next phase, and the group did not want to block creativity by preconceived notions. Furthermore, the filters were divided by subcategories for a better organization and visualization, namely technological, economic, political, competition, environmental, and geographical, and overall 51 filters were deduced.
Now, after putting together the long list of 51 filters, we arrived at the phase 3 of the project, where these filters were validated, selected, and ranked. So first, we started off by using the poker method framework, which has 4 actions: kill, review, multiply, and keep. The framework helped us to select and narrow down the filters to the most relevant ones, by deleting the irrelevant and not measurable filters, by reviewing the ones that needed to be re-evaluated, and by raising and keeping filters that were measurable and compelling. After that, for the final 12 filters that were kept, there was a separation into global and local filters, and the respective ranking. So, for the global filters, the company's top concern was for the country of choice to have sufficient fishing territory, given that the company wants to monitor and provide data regarding fishing activities through Earth observation, so a country without a proper EEZ would have a smaller need for the company's service. For the second filter, and since the goal is also to help put a stop on illegal fishing activities and the harm on endangered species, evaluating this indicator at the beginning helped to identify the country in which there was more work to be done to solve these issues. For the third, and given that AF7 is a company dealing with constant data and technology evolution, it was relevant to assess the level of digital readiness in the country. Regarding the fourth, and given that we believe that having support of the government in the company initiatives is of very utmost relevancy, the control on corruption was chosen. In fifth place, we decided to evaluate the Ocean Health Index, since the more a country needs to repair its ocean environment, the more valuable it's our service. Then, the sixth filter refers to the IUU index, given that it is one of the most comprehensive and up-to-date indexes that is currently available in the field of illegal fishing. In seventh place, we decided to evaluate the capture of fishery products in metric tons to better understand if a country has a relevant role in the fishing industry or not, and this was the best proxy that we were able to find to do the analysis. Finally, the last global filter chosen was the Global Innovation Index, given the startup nature of the company and its need to be innovative and have support for innovation. Now, arriving at phase 4, which is divided in two, and more particularly in phase 4A, there was a need to implement the value creation funnel and the MCDA for both the global and local filters to finally select the geographical target market of the company. So, in order to start narrowing down the number of countries available, a set of thresholds was applied to each and every filter previously selected. As it can be seen for the global filters, these were the thresholds applied. And for the local filters, the same was performed. Here, in this funnel, it can be seen with more detail which countries were being excluded as the filters and thresholds were being applied. At the end, France was presented as the country that best suited AF7. Then, to finalize this phase 4A of the VCW, the same rationale was applied for the regions, and Brittany was chosen as the best region for the company to settle in from a total of 13 regions.
Thanks, Francisca. I will now take over phase 4B. Here we talk about the concept and prototype, as well as about our target customer and value generation process. As mentioned earlier, our local target region is Brittany. Brittany lies in the northwest of France and offers ideal conditions for our startup. In terms of demography, it is home to 3.3 million people, which represents a large portion of the French population. Therefore, it is ideal for our startup. As it was one of our filters, Brittany has the longest coastline. This is super important since our startup is concerned with maritime issues. Therefore, we have lots of companies and institutions in this region. Furthermore, Brittany stands out with an above average population density and below average unemployment rate. Amongst other, the French Research Institute for Marine Exploitation is located in this region, making it a very innovative area, especially for maritime-related projects and concerns. In the next step, AF7 identified three major customer segments, which are namely private companies, such as commercial fishing companies or specialized consulting companies, non-profit organizations, also local NGOs, or governmental and public institutions, such as institutions with regulatory power, public environmental institutions, or specialized agencies of fisheries. After careful consideration and many brainstorm sessions, AF7 decided to target governments and public institutions since they have the most power about the EEZs and they are in a position and in charge to change laws and issue policies. Therefore, we believe that governments or institutions will have the highest impact with our service. After deciding which customer segment to target, the group needed to analyze the French public landscape to find out a governmental institution or public institution that has the responsibility about the management of the EEZs and the maritime zones. By doing so, three different segments have been identified. They are institutions with regulatory power, public institutions that are concerned with the evolution of EEZ, and other specialized agencies of fisheries management. After executing further research, it became evident that the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry Resources will be the main authority to target. In the next slide, this ministry will be further analyzed and shown in more detail. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food is divided into four different departments, which are Maritime and Aquaculture, Economic and Environmental Performance, Food and Education, and Research. All of these four departments execute their tasks via decentralized regional directorates, each with their specific focus. Therefore, our target customer and main point of contact will be the regional directorate in Brittany. Furthermore, the regional directorates also report to other governmental stakeholders. In our case, the most relevant one is the General Directorate of Maritime and Aquaculture Fishing, which also gets information from the draft in Brittany and ultimately serves as an advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. Therefore, it is ideal for our service. So, what are the customer main focus and pain points? The main focus lies in sustainable management of sea fisheries. This comes along with an extensive list that also includes the fisheries control. As earlier mentioned, IUU is the major threat of nowadays maritime management authorities. Furthermore, the organization is responsible that France sticks to fishing policies made up for OECD countries. And how is this done today? The customer pain points lie in the usage of conventional data, such as landing reports, logbooks, or even onboard observations to get an idea about behavior of vessels. The problem here, as you can imagine, is that it is super expensive, time-consuming, requires a lot of logistics and planning beforehand. Especially here lies the potential for AF7 to capture value and offer a true benefit to the customer. Here you can see our value curve in comparison to conventional competitors and PU, another player in the industry using Earth observation data. Compared to conventional competitors, it becomes evident that AF7's main source of competitive advantage lies in near real-time information, an extensive customer service, as well as the integration of several data sources and the capabilities of making reliable forecasts. Also, the price tag can be located lower compared to conventional competitors, since the usage of Earth observation data is efficient and we leverage our platform through economies of scale, which will be mentioned later on. Compared to PU, AF7 distinguishes itself through customer service in the form of regular trainings and 24/7 availability for the customer. Furthermore, AF7 wants to enforce forecasts in the future as major strength and unique value proposition in the future. As seen before, AF7 unlocks a blue ocean strategy. The goal is to leverage the uncontested market space with our unique value curve, make conventional competition irrelevant, and ultimately beat the value-cost trade-off to become the leading player for our target customers in this industry. In terms of the 7 Ps, the situation is as follows. The key idea is to establish an attractive business which has operations that are tailored to the customer. The price will be outlined in more detail in the next slide. However, in terms of payment, AF7 does not accept cash payments, but only credit card or bank transfers via invoices, with payment terms depending on each individual business case. The product will be executed through our platform, which uses mostly EO imagery to deliver real-time information about illegal maritime activities, which has been discussed earlier in the project. Our promotion strategy will be divided into the following parts. We want to do demonstrations at scientific and relevant trade fairs. Furthermore, free trials and demonstrations at our HQ in Brittany will be executed. Furthermore, AF7 wants to participate in national and local announcements and target the customer via email marketing campaigns and social media to create awareness about the general issue of illegal fishing. In terms of place, AF7 will mostly focus on direct sale on site, for example through business meetings. Service is also another key component of our strategy. Physical training as well as online remote support will be provided, as well as a call center with trained employees to be responsiveness for the customer at all time. The process will be divided into 5 major steps. In the first steps, AF7 connects to a possible client and presents the service in all the facilities. In the second step, the contract is signed and the best fitting option for the customer is discussed with our experts. After that, constant communications and meetings are important to know the exact needs of the client. After that, the true product will show its capabilities. Data is delivered alongside with recommendations and the monitoring finally starts and the customer gets his insights about the EEZs. For physical evidence, we mostly use website design and our platform to show what AF7 is capable of doing of. For people, we need some experts, especially Earth observation experts and data engineers that are acquainted with the business and know how to treat the data, and furthermore will develop our algorithms in the future. Furthermore, we need industry experts that know how to analyze the data correctly and transform them into clear recommendations for the customer. As well, there are also other expenses for people such as business, administrative costs, marketing, HR, and VIT and support services. Our pricing strategy is clearly defined. There are 3 different packages available for the customer, which have different price tags and all come with different functionalities. Professional for 849 euros, Premium for 1,499 euros, and Premium Plus, which will be our focus service, for 2,790 euros. The more the customer pays, the more functionalities are available. The price is charged monthly, and initial licenses of 50 are charged with the initial price. After that, the price decreases with every new license that the customer registers, which generates an incentive for the customer to make more license. By the same time, AF7 can leverage economies of scale since we have relatively stable fixed costs for the platform, and by this we can boost profits in the long term. As mentioned earlier, AF7 executes its service via an intuitive platform. It shows all relevant information and updates the situation on the seas regularly. Clear call to action recommendations are provided that are easy to understand. Through the integration of several data sources, a comprehensive image about the sea is created that offers valuable insights for the customer analysts and supports the monitoring of the EEZ. In phase 5, the 3 M's will be analyzed and the project will be concluded. In the business model canvas, a good overview about our activities and key stakeholders is provided. As many of these things have been discussed earlier in more detail, I will now focus on the channels, the cost structure, as well as key partners. In terms of key partners, we have investing entities, funding entities, and technology partnerships. The investing entities are crucial to found our business in the early stage, especially we consider here business angels, VCs, or PEs. In terms of funding, we identify the European Union and national organizations as main funding providers that ensure that AF7 will reach its break-even point in the near future. For technology, for sure, there is the EU Copernicus program providing authorization data. Furthermore, we are also in contact with other providers that provide conventional data streams such as AIS or VMS, which is also used in our platform. For the costs, our main cost caption is R&D, which ensures that we always have the latest and most efficient technology available. Furthermore, we have customer service staff and especially specialized workers that treat the data, analyze, and will be responsible in creating our algorithms that make, for example, our forecasts. Another cost caption are hardware and headquarters, and of course maintenance costs for our online platforms. The channel will be mostly online platforms that sell the product via direct sale on business meetings. Furthermore, we want to be present on fairs, events, and social media to create awareness. In addition, phone calls, emails, and video to customer support will be established to offer a comprehensive service for our customer.
Okay, so moving on to the money part, we can see here all the several funding opportunities that AF7 has. So we can clearly distinguish between 5 different funding types, being the French national initiatives. Then we have the European initiatives. We also have at our disposal competitions, crowdfunding, or business angels. So we know that getting our money won't be a problem because we know that we have these 5 different entities that we can get our money from. But the really key question here in the money part is how much money do we need and for what do we need the money? So here is the point where we will enter in our financial projections just in the next slide. As you can see here in this slide, we started with a projection of the costs and revenues for the first 4 years of our business AF7. So basically, we did a profit and loss statement with 3 different scenarios, one being the conservative, then a realistic one, and at the end, an optimistic one. In order to understand the quantity of money that we need in order to run our business in the first 4 years, we looked at the conservative scenario because, as the name suggests, it is a safer scenario to look at. So we basically just summed all the cumulative free cash flows of each year, and this gave us a number of 172,000 euros. So this number of 172,000 euros is already a safe number to ask. However, we put it a 15% margin of safety in this number, so we got 200,000 euros. That is basically the amount that we are asking as an initial cash injection, so we can basically run our business in the first 4 years without any problem. And also keep in mind that this is a number that the conservative scenario gave us, and the realistic scenario, as the name suggests, it is more likely to happen. So basically we AF7 think that we won't have any trouble with this initial cash injection. We can look at more things here. So we can clearly see that our revenues come from 3 different plans, being a professional, a premium, and a premium plus one, with 3 different price schemes, and in each of the scenarios the quantity sold changed. Also the COGS, the cost of goods sold, also change depending on the scenario that we are into. And we also have operating expenses that are basically fixed costs. So we can see that we have costs with staff, and I'm going to talk about staff in just a minute. We also have costs regarding marketing and maintenance, and this is this 15,000 euros of marketing and maintenance that we outsourced the development of our platform and also the maintenance of this platform and website to an external company. And we also have the rent plus utilities, that is the rent of 260 square meters offices in a region in Brittany, that is the first region that we are going to expand. So moving on to the manpower, and I already started talking about it in the previous slides. We know that we need a certain set of skills in order to operate our business, and among our team of 5, we already have much of these skills. So Francisca will take care of marketing, whereas Max will take care of finance. Me, João, I'm gonna take care of the part of operations, then Lucille with the part of human resources, and then Leona with all the sales and the customer acquisition and their monitoring. However, we know that in just the 5 of us, we don't have all the skills needed in order to run our business. So we basically need to hire new people, new man capital. So we know that we need skills in the areas of Earth observation. We also need environmental analysts, engineers, basically to the platform and website, and IT and support services. So starting with the Earth observation and environmental analysts, we need those in order to analyze better the data sets and basically develop a better service to our customers. So for this, we hired 2 Earth observation data analysts and 1 industry expert. Regarding the IT and support services, we also hired 2 people for this, and these people basically assure that we can provide the best service possible with a 24/7 customer service, and basically any technical intervention that we might need, these people will take care of it. We also need engineers, but we outsource this service, as I already said in the money part. We outsource this service to an external company, so we basically paid them 13,757 euros so that they can basically develop our website and run our website, and then we also pay a monthly fee in order so they can do all the maintenance of our website and our platform as well. Okay, now moving on to the minute part, that is basically the timings of our project. We can clearly distinguish between three big phases. So basically the phase until when the platform is launched. So basically all the process of team hiring. This is a process that involves a lot our human resources and project manager. Then all the platform development and platform testing, and then when the platform is launched in March 2022. Then it is the process, the time span when the platform is already launched. So basically with all the marketing campaign, the first customer, then the evaluation of this customer, then all the other customers, and all the adjustments, feedback, and improvement of the platform, with also marketing campaigns running through. And then we can clearly distinguish the third different big phase, that is the entry in the new region. So we will start entering hopefully in November 2024. Looking at our KPIs and distinguishing between our initial KPIs and our future KPIs, we'll first look at our initial KPIs, and we can clearly see that we met almost all of them. So we were able to find the target market, understand what our investments need was of 200,000 euros, then find the potential investors, and we found those. We also found potential clients, and we postponed two of our initial KPIs, that was the hire of specialized staff and basically our return on investment monitoring. To our future KPIs, we set 7 different KPIs, but the most important ones are clearly the ones that end in the end of 2025, being basically to become profitable, to start paying our employees above the market average, because right now we are not paying above the average because we are currently a startup. We also want to increase the rate of detections and help to decrease the number of illegal fishing activities and vessels in the areas that we are servicing. And our objective to this is to see a 20% decrease in the illegal fishing activities and vessels by the end of 2025, being this the main KPI that we want to tackle. Right now, looking at the further considerations for AF7. So basically, we already talked about our initial plan so far. We talked about the 3Ms, but right now we are going to talk about our future strategy. So what we see as being profitable and being relevant for us in the future. And we want to make 3 things, and here we have 2 of them in this slide: the technological expansion and the customer integration. So we basically want to have more technology and to integrate more technology into our company and to expand in this region. So we basically want to have more databases and broader databases, so we can feed our platform with more data. So hopefully we can develop and diversify into more business units. So for example, the aquaculture management side of things. And with this, we think that we can build synergies between the private and public sector. So we basically are a more robust company with more of this technological expansion. We also want to integrate vertically, so going to the upstream and midstream market will be a powerful advantage to us, because we will gain not only more data, but this data will come from us, so this will be basically a great synergy to us, and hopefully we can found our own and independent fleet to observe and monitor oceans. With this, our ultimate goal, so With the technological expansion and the vertical integration, our ultimate goal is to create the more robust business model as possible that is more reliable, more attractive, and more lucrative for the governments and the public authorities that are basically our target market. And with this, we want to manage their respective EEZs. So looking on to the third part of our future strategy, this is the geographical expansion to new regions, and we can clearly distinguish between two different regions. One being in French, it is called Pays de la Loire, and we want this to take place in November 2024. Pays de la Loire is an attractive geographical place because it is side by side with Brittany, and we can profit from economies of scale, for example, having just the offices in Brittany but operating in the two places. Also, from the same criteria that led us to Brittany, basically this new region presents us with high fishery product sales and high regional GDP. We also want to expand to Spain in the second half of 2025, and this is also an attractive geographical place because it is a country that is side by side with France and is basically an easy expansion, and we can also profit from some economies of scale, and we basically have more control of the operations and less costs. Also, Spain is a country with a very large EEZ and that has many threatened fish species. Also, Spain has the technological readiness there that is required to receive our services in that geographical region.
Formulating a conclusion of the project, the group summarized three major aspects: the problem, the solution, and the main objectives. Analyzing the problem, it becomes evident that France has a high vulnerability to IUU practices due to the size and vastness of their maritime zones, thus incorporating substantial harm to their ecosystems and the economy. The solution is a tailored service based on Earth observation data that provides fast and easy to understand recommendations to take effective solutions against these practices. By doing so, monitoring the oceans becomes feasible and endangered species are saved. The main objectives can be formulated in accordance with quantitative measure. By 2025, AF7 wants to decrease IUU practices by 20% in the French exclusive economic zones. In terms of limitations of the project, we identify three main limitations. Firstly, our group was limited in terms of the knowledge of the environment and access to relevant stakeholders and contacts in the region of Brittany. Nevertheless, in the future we expect the situation to improve due to the help of industry experts and having settled in Brittany. We will be able to better connect with relevant stakeholders. Besides, for further projects it will be easier to network, assuming the COVID-19 pandemic will be over by then. The second one is the limited Earth observation expertise, which is why this project is mostly based on research and historical data. Since we will hire industry experts and include them in the decision-making process, we will be able to gain the necessary expertise. Moreover, our team will also be able to improve its skills and knowledge by learning from daily business operations. Lastly, since we are targeting the governments, we are limited in terms of customers per country. Since we provide a tailored service, it is applicable to several countries and customers suffering from endangered species and IUU. Furthermore, fishing activities must be frequently monitored, which is why governments will be long-term customers. During the Value Creation Wheel project, the group could draw many learnings and conclusions from the framework. By applying the Value Creation Wheel framework, the group managed to find a suitable target market and target customer to strive for a positive impact in terms of monitoring fishing activities, prevention of IUU, and saving endangered species. Especially the flexible structure of the framework to go back to earlier phases enabled the group to get a clear vision about the necessary product features to be an attractive player on the market, since the group continuously understood the Earth observation market better. As the group exceeded in the project, more and more information about the different layers of the whole project became evident. Consequently, many decisions of the group, including the initial objectives, have been re-evaluated to make the project more realistic, since some of the early goals of the group have not been feasible. In addition, the group agreed on many brainstorming sessions, which were one of the most valuable sources for the project. The brainstorming fostered creativity and innovation during the process, which is crucial in many stages of the value creation wheel project. Furthermore, the framework forced the group to continuously challenge their ideas and not get lost in too many details. This became evident when the business model canvas and elevator pitch was prepared. One should always be able to explain the whole project in one slide, on minute respectively. Therefore, one key learning was that research is strongly valuable. However, one may never forget the bigger picture. That was the presentation of our project AF7, based on the value creation wheel. Thank you for your attention.